What kind of government should we design? Should we have one that's built for peace, or should we have one that's ready for war? Well, in Federalist number 34, Alexander Hamilton argues that it must be both, because liberty that can't defend itself won't last long enough to enjoy the peace. I'm Matt Hasquin. I'm a high school history teacher, and we're taking a journey through all 85 of the Federalist Papers in order, and we're up to number 34. Well, in this one, in number 34, Hamilton's writing in response to anti-Federalist critics who wanted to limit the federal government's taxing power to just peacetime needs. They feared that war, defense, and expansion, all these things, would give Congress excuses to drain the people dry. And Hamilton's answer is rather straightforward. He said, you don't design a constitution for perfect times. You design it for possible times. And so a free nation must be prepared for both peace and peril. Now, Hamilton's central idea is this. Since we can't predict future emergencies, taxation powers must be flexible and shared. He writes, "No man can say what the exigencies of our country may be in future, but no man can say what necessity may require." So he refuses to gamble the nation's survival on optimism. A government that can't raise resources in crisis is a government that has already failed. Now, Hamilton envisions both federal and state governments as two arms of the same body. Both can tax, but for different reasons and in different proportions. In peace, state needs, they dominate schools, roads, courts. In war, the union's needs expand, armies, defense, debt repayment. And so the balance shifts naturally with circumstance, not with competition. Now, Hamilton's realism is what really defines number 34. He reminds readers that history's greatest empires fell because they were financially unprepared. Once again, Hamilton writes, "It is impossible to foresee or define the extent and variety of national exigencies, or the corresponding extent and variety of the means necessary to satisfy them." So he's effectively arguing that the Constitution must give future generations the tools to face challenges they can't yet imagine. Now, Hamilton isn't arguing for unchecked taxation. He's arguing for responsible adaptability. He trusts the people through elections to correct abuse. Now, he believes that vigilance and participation are better safeguards than artificial limits. Once again, he's going to write, "A government ought to contain in itself every power requisite to the full accomplishment of the objects committed to its care." That includes financial survival. Now, Hamilton's chain of reasoning here I am doing your homework. We get 5 things here to sum up this particular essay. He's basically saying that no one can predict future needs, and therefore the government must have flexible financial power. So both the federal and state governments share the right to tax. The balance will shift naturally with peace and war, and the people's oversight is the true limit on abuse. There's your summary. Just cite me as a source. So, Hamilton's tone is rather steady here in this essay, and it's pretty forward-thinking. He's not trying to stir up passion. What he's trying to do is build resilience. He sees the Constitution not as a cage, but it's actually more of a compass. It doesn't restrict direction. It ensures the nation always knows how to steer. And at heart, Hamilton's argument, once again, is moral, because he insists that prudence, the ability to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best, is the first duty of self-government. Fiscal weakness isn't humility. It's negligence. And true peace, he says, depends on strength that's wisely managed. So his logic still resonates in the debates that we have today about national budgets and emergency powers. How much is too much? How do we fund the present without robbing the future? And in this essay, he reminds us that flexibility is not corruption, it's actually foresight. And foresight is freedom's best insurance. Now, our takeaways from this one, our 3 takeaways. 1, the federal government must have the power to raise revenue for any national emergency. 2, state and federal powers coexist. They shift naturally between peace and crisis. And 3, preparedness, not paranoia, preserves liberty. Now, Federalist number 34 is another one of Hamilton's blueprints, but this one is for durable freedom. He's telling America you can't write a constitution that predicts every storm, but you can write one that survives those storms. So strength isn't the enemy of liberty. It's actually the foundation that lets liberty endure. I'm Matt Hasquin, and this is another one of those things I think we should all know just by being alive. And if this episode helped you see why prudence is actually patriotic, please share it, repost it, follow me, and then hang around, because I'll be whipping up Federalist number 35. I'll be working on that tonight. And so this is where Hamilton's going to kind of connect taxation to representation, when he's showing how revenue and democracy either rise or they fall together. Thanks for spending the time with me and making it this far.